Alrighty, St. Paul's Podcast, episode, what is this, 9? 10?
9.
We skipped one.
Yeah, we didn't mean to skip one, but last week, starting with Ash Wednesday, beginning of Lent, right, it's kind of got really hectic.
Yeah, we were planning to record, but then there was constantly people at the door looking for ashes.
And then something came up, and we said we'll do it the next day, and the next day was filled with other things to do.
We tried to record on Saturday night after men's basketball.
But we're just too tired.
Well, no, it was the spring ahead. The clock changed.
Oh, right.
We were planning to do it, and it was like 8 o'clock at night, and then we realized it was actually 9 o'clock at night, and it was just like, no, we can't do this.
Yeah, it's too
We'll just skip a week. So we're sorry, but we're finally back after missing a week, and it's good to be back because there's a lot of things going on now that we're in the season of Lent.
Yes, a lot of things going on. A few things that already happened. Just last week, actually, is parish. We had a parish pastoral council.
Yes.
How often do we meet?
It's like 6 times a year.
6 times a year, and then we're kind of looking forward to some events that are happening or planning ahead. And we really had a fruitful meeting last time.
Yeah, it was a good group, and we spent a lot of time talking about stewardship, so I'm sure the parish will hear. I'm not going to talk about it on this week's episode, but we'll
eventually
mention it eventually on like the meaning of stewardship, cultivating a culture of stewardship, and what that means for upkeeping and sustaining a future for the parish. But we'll talk more about that as we approach the stewardship weekend. But that was the main gist of our last parish pastoral council meeting. And I just want to remind people who do listen, because obviously the people that listen are the people that are invested in the parish and their faith. And those of you that are listening, please remember that you're part of this conversation. Like, the parish council is not just like this group of like secret people that meets at night and figures out, what happens in the parish. No, like they have an email. So the head of the parish council, Matthew, he has an email address at council@stpaulrcc.com. So, you can always, if there's something you see in the parish, something you would like to see, an idea you have, an initiative that you have, go ahead and send him an email. He always brings up the emails at every meeting of ideas that people have and things that people suggested. So those of you that are listening, you're part of our thought process. You're part of that council yourself. These are just your representatives. So please, if you see something, if you think of something, reach out, because we do talk about it. We do take the suggestions of our parishioners very seriously.
Yeah, and I think, most of the things that we have already started came from the ideas of the parishioners, like the book in the back, the prayer book, or
even the Bible study.
The Bible study, yeah, and
was brought up by multiple suggestions.
It's going great. I really love it.
The Bible study, by the way, it's awesome. It's like 15 people every week, mix of Zoom and in person, and it is like really profound. I'm getting a lot out of it. I'm really enjoying following it.
Right. And I think another thing that has happened, especially significant for our RCIA group, is the call to continuing conversion and rite of election.
So hold on, time out. That was a very sharp transition.
Yeah.
I think many people do not know what RCIA is. And I think it'd be worth to say. Well, they changed the name. Now it's OCIA. Okia.
Yeah, order.
So So RCIA is traditionally the rite
of Christian initiation for adults.
Rite of Christian initiation of adults. And now they changed it to OCIA, even though on our website and everything it's still listed as RCIA, which means Order of Christian Initiation of Adults. So basically, what this is a program in most parishes and in the diocese where adults, people over 18, but technically anyone over 7, but I'm not going to get into the details of that. But people over 18 who either were baptized as a child and didn't do their first communion and confirmation, which are the 3 sacraments of initiation, they enter this program to do catechesis as adults. Or people who just are converting to Catholicism. So we have a few who aren't baptized, did not grow up Catholic, and are receiving full initiation into the church. And so RCIA or OCIA, it's basically like religious education or catechism for adults.
Right.
And we've always had a very big program here. There was one year where our RCIA program was 32 adults.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And this year I think it's like 20 total,
This
which is a nice program. 5 of them are not baptized and will be baptized and fully received into the church at the Easter Vigil. The rest of them were baptized as children and are finishing their sacraments. And so all of that will happen the night of the Easter Vigil or that week. But what Father Jay was saying was the rite of election and the call to continuing conversion. So these are 2 beautiful ceremonies that take place in the Cathedral of Newark with the bishop, with those adults who are coming into the faith. And that always takes place at the beginning of Lent, the first weekend of Lent. So we brought our class there. But what was cool about it was that the church, the cathedral, was absolutely packed. And Father Jay went to the call to continuing conversion, which was for those who were already baptized and finishing their sacraments. I went to the rite of election with those who are not baptized and are doing their full initiation. And what they do is they have 2 services of each, and only for 2 counties in the Archdiocese. So we were with Bergen County. So it was Hudson County and Bergen County. And the cathedral, which holds over 2,000 people, was packed. I mean, people from all over the place.
And that's the beautiful thing. That's just half the diocese.
Yeah, only half the diocese, and the cathedral was packed of people coming into the church, coming into the Catholic Church. So why are like churches and Catholic schools and stuff closing if like we have all this rebirth and new and growth and conversions? I mean, what do you think's happening?
I mean, I think that's one thing. I mean, it's a whole plethora of reasons and we can get into, but for this, I think the hardest part to really, because again, for those who don't know RCIA, there are steps in the RCIA program that you're someone who's inquiring. And then you are welcomed into it, into the program. So you now get a cumin, and the rite of elect is now you're known as the elect, right? The bishop has elected you to be baptized, to join the fullness of the church in the upcoming vigil. And then once you are a full member of the church, the last step is called mystagogy, and it's like, hey, I received the sacraments, I received everything. What do I do next? And from that kind of moment on, I think a lot of parishes fail in mystagogy, in a sense that, oh, you're now baptized and you have the sacraments. Okay, see you at Mass. Peace. Yeah. But there has to be a continuing journey. They just became Catholic, and they were. I mean, they don't have the devotion to the Rosary. They don't have the devotion to saints yet. All these cultural and communal things has to be, right? They have to be integrated into, and a lot of times in mystagogy, they just fail.
Really, it's not. I don't know if it's the failure of the church as an institution, honestly. And I hate to say this, I think it's the failure of godparents and sponsors. Like a sponsor, when someone. Yeah. So if I come into the church, right, which I did, I actually did RCIA as an adult. I was 22. I was baptized as a kid. And I was a religious ed dropout.
Wow.
Because I hated school, and then I hated going to school again on Sunday. So I dropped out.
I was just forced to go to religious ed.
But I came back later. I was 22. But anyway, not about me. Godparents and sponsors. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, a godparent is... We have this cultural sense of like, oh, I'm a godparent, and so... If something happens to the mom, then I can help. It's like, and I send them gifts at Christmas. It's like, okay, that's kind of what it means to be a godparent. But really, your job is to make sure that this child or this adult continues in their journey of faith. And you have to be an example of that.
Yeah, it's to accompany them in their journey of faith.
To accompany them in the journey of faith, yeah. So the mystagogy and what happens after... the institution of the church, I mean, churches have hundreds and thousands of people. Like, we can't institutionally accompany every single one of them. People have to accompany each other and walk as a community of faith. And when you're asked to be a godparent or a sponsor, that means you are called to walk with this person in this journey of faith, to teach them how to have a devotion to the rosary or to the saints, to bring them on a pilgrimage, to bring them to shrines. I'm getting all fired up.
I mean, I think it's true, though. I think, again, it's so sad in baptism, because baptism is a beautiful ceremony.
Yeah.
Right? Especially infant baptism. And you really see the innocence of the child, because this baby the baby can't do no wrong. And now he's going to be, but the precisely in that sense is that where I always feel very sad or disappointed. I don't really want to say disappointed either, but when the parents we ask the parents, like, hey, it's your responsibility to raise this child in the faith. Like, that's why we're baptizing your child.
Yeah.
So we entrust their faith to you. And then we turn to the godparents as well.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
are you willing to help the parents of this child?
You're supposed to help the parents to raise these child in the faith.
Right.
And that reality, I think, just culturally is gone.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. With RCIA, it applies to adults too. Someone's asked to be a sponsor and they're honored and they come for the ceremony and they take pictures. But then what do they do after? Do they encourage them to become a lector, to become, to go on a pilgrimage, to live out the faith, to live out their prayer? Like, my sponsor for RCIA, we kind of, I mean, I haven't heard from him in forever, but it doesn't matter, because throughout college, like, he would invite me. He would invite me and say, hey, let's go and do this ministry to serve the poor. Hey, did you ever learn how to pray the rosary? Like, he was a real sponsor.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome, actually. But
yeah, and I think that's how it. Sorry, I hear a noise. It's like a shh, like a static.
Oh, that
noise.
might be my laptop. It's like overloading.
Oh, okay. I thought something was going on with the microphones. No. So, yeah, I mean, so RCIA, beautiful thing. A lot of people take interest in the faith. They learn the faith. A lot of adults come back into the faith, and I guess what I'm focusing on is when Father Jay was saying that mystagogy, that next step, how to get involved in the parish, how to get involved in the church and the life of faith. That's the responsibility. Yes, in the program, we have a whole section on mystagogy. We have people come in and talk about different, different opportunities to get invested in the faith. But really, to walk with someone, to accompany with someone, that's the responsibility of the sponsor or the godparent.
Yeah, I think there has to be a real personal, relational aspect to mystagogy, or it's never going to work out. Right. We can't teach personal things.
Yeah,
personal
exactly.
Things.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it is a beautiful ceremony. Cathedral is a beautiful building. I think our cathedral is probably the best looking cathedral in the United States. Yeah. In the Northern Hemisphere.
That's what I say every time I go there. I say, man, that is a good-looking cathedral.
Yeah, and it's better looking than St. Patrick's.
And bigger.
And bigger.
I think it's 5 feet bigger, or like 5 meters bigger.
I'm not too sure.
I think it's 5 feet bigger, and they did that intentionally to say our cathedral's bigger than St. Patrick's in New York.
Yeah. And it's the only true Gothic cathedral in America. Everything else is neo-Gothic.
Yeah, and we also, Branchbrook Park is known for the cherry blossoms, which is amazing, especially this time of year. They're going to be coming soon, in the next week or so, I think. So if you've never visited the Basilica of the Sacred Heart in Newark.
It's open. It's 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
It's open for visits, for prayer. And they have tours. They do tours.
Yes.
Which are excellent.
Yeah.
I did a tour of it, and it was really fascinating history of the cathedral. So look it up if you're not familiar with it. Look up Cathedral Basilica of the Sacred Heart in Newark.
Yeah, and I think that might be a good, a Lenten practice that you can do to just kind of...
Yeah, just like a little pilgrimage.
Yeah, a little pilgrimage.
Take a walk through Branchbrook Park. It's a beautiful day.
To the Mother Church of our diocese.
It'd be a nice way to spend Lent, or a nice Lenten practice, which we have many in this parish.
Yeah. What a smooth transition.
That's a nice transition, right? So Lenten practices, there's many you could do. You could do a pilgrimage to the Cathedral Basilica in Newark. But one that we have, that we've always done every year, is the Friday Stations of the Cross, which is a beautiful, ancient kind of way of prayer. where you walk through the Passion of Jesus and say a prayer at each station with the community. We do it bilingual. We'll do one state. There's 14. So we do one in English, one in Spanish. We just restored our Stations of the Cross.
Right.
We had an artist come in and repaint, touch up.
It's beautiful.
Fixed up the lights. So it's really a beautiful way of praying on Friday nights. Every Friday night at 7 p.m. And then on Good Friday, right, the one of the Triduum,
yep,
we do a procession where our youth reenact the Stations of the Cross. And it's amazing. We have hundreds of people. I mean, the streets are just packed.
That's great.
With people. We have music. We have, and then we have the service in the church at 3 p.m. for Good Friday. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for like a Lenten penance or a Lenten practice that you can do, Stations of the Cross would be a really good option. What else do we have that's special for Lent?
I'm not too sure. This is my first year.
Yeah. So as we get closer to Holy Week, we always have the penance service where we have a big penance service. A lot of people come. We have like 7-8 priests that come to hear confessions. Now in the past, so we have a couple of retreats coming up in Spanish, but this is an English podcast, so I won't speak about that. We always do either an English retreat or a parish mission where we have a speaker come in and speak on certain topics. So 2 years ago we did the retreat. Last year we did the parish mission, but those dates haven't been set yet, just because during Lent and Easter there's so much going on that sometimes it's hard to organize everything at once. So sometimes we only give two or 3 weeks notice. But I'm sure we will have either a retreat or a parish mission, depending on what speakers we can get in, what music, how to arrange it. Right. So as long as it doesn't overlap with the Spanish retreat. So just be attentive to some of those opportunities for Lent. We also gave out those little black books, the little Lenten black books. Those are great. They have daily reflections every day on different topics, things that people didn't know about, things that kind of bring Lent together as a full, full experience. Do you know what Lent means? Did you ever think about that?
Explain.
So in Spanish and Italian and other languages, it really just means 40, Quaresma.
Yeah, in Korean it's Hasunjo, which is
40 days, yeah. So in most languages, it's 40, like Quaresma, or I forget what it is in Italian, Quaresima. Yeah, so I think it's, the same thing. No, it's Quaresima and Quaresma.
Yeah.
So, but in English, it's Lent. So I found out, and I think it's true. I mean, it makes sense. I looked this up a couple of years ago because I was curious, what the heck does Lent mean? And it comes from the Old English, which is lengthen, which means lengthen. So and the reason they use it is because the days are lengthening. The days are getting longer. So just the other day we had the change of the time. Right? So it gets dark now at like 8 p.m.
Yeah, and then the equinox is going to happen.
Exactly. And the days just keep getting longer and longer and longer. So it's the time of year where the days get lengthened. Lengthened. So Lent.
Okay.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Old English lengthen.
It's kind of like, like how all the other countries use the same metric system.
Oh, I know. And
America is like, let's use pounds and yards,
which is so confusing.
And all the countries, and it's like, we'll call it 40 days.
I wonder. Yeah,
and let's call it Lent.
Lent. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So why we do that, how we do that, who knows? But that's what it is. I do want to make a mention too, just because we finished a very cool project at the parish. We have this year, for the first time, an official St. Paul's Feast webpage. So Father Jay worked during the day with our web developer who created our website, our logo for the parish and the school. And they put together a really awesome St. Paul's Feast website.
Right.
It's on the parish website. If you haven't seen it yet, please just go check it out. stpaulrcc.com/feast.
Or if you can just go to the main website, and there's a pop-up for it. And so
there you go. It's also on the bulletin.
Yeah, it's on the bulletin. But if you're trying to go straight to it, stpaulrcc.com/feast. You'll go to the page right away. And
now, why is this so important? Because, let me explain. So every year when we do the festival, especially our very first year, there's a lot of expenses involved. I think our initial investment in the festival is about $21,000. So that's all the rentals, the rides, the games, the tickets, everything we have to buy, the lighting, the stage. So there's a lot of upfront cost, right? And then usually at the festival, you do fundraise, right? Like people pay for the rides or the food or the drinks or whatever. But you never know. Like it could be pouring that whole time, or maybe people don't get it. So part of like running a parish festival or actually the bigger part of running a parish festival is all the work you do ahead of time,
right,
to get sponsorships, to get donations, because you never want to go into a parish festival like taking a chance on if it's going to be successful or not.
Yeah.
Because when companies sponsor the festival, so we've had good sponsorships the last few years. I think we've raised all of our investments the last couple of years. So hopefully this year we can raise about the $20,000 before we go into the festival. So that way the day of, you're not worried about making money or not. You just want to provide a good day for the community, for the neighborhood, for the parishioners. You just want to enjoy it, have fun, give someone the 50-50, watch the kids on the rides, go to the beer garden, enjoy the good music. And that's kind of what we want to do. So the web page is amazing because it has all the opportunities right on there to sponsor. So if you or someone has a business and you would like to sponsor it, you get your business logo all over the festival. You're supporting the community, not just the parish to raise money, but you're supporting the community by providing this event, by making this event possible. As an individual, you can just donate and just say, hey, I want to donate to making this event possible for our community. Or what's cool about it too is you can sign up to volunteer. Right. So all the volunteer jobs are listed on there. So if you don't have treasure to donate to the festival, you can donate time and talent by coordinating and sending in your information through the webpage. So I think it's a really important webpage to spread. So go on it yourself, send it to your friends, say, hey, my church is putting together this amazing day to celebrate their patron, St. Paul, and we want you to be a part of it. So please join us and spread the news, spread the good news, help us get the word out there.
Yeah, I think it has everything that is needed. It's a lot of information, all the things that, and it even has places where you can ask questions and inquire. So if you have any questions, we'll answer it as fast as we can. And so I'm really excited for it, the feast. I know it seems to be a little bit far away, but
it's not.
It's not. It's just tomorrow. Everything kind of flies when you're enjoying
having
life.
Fun.
And so, please check it out. And I think it's going to be wonderful, wonderful, wonderful feast.
So this weekend is the second Sunday of Lent.
Speaking of feast,
and we had a big argument the other day about Lent.
Okay, so it's a wording argument of wording.
So the thing is, during Lent,
yes,
Lent is 40 days from Ash Wednesday to Holy Thursday.
Yes.
Not including Sundays.
Okay.
Because if you include Sundays, it's 45 days.
Okay.
All right. So I was sitting there eating cookies and chocolate.
Right.
And I said to Father Jay, I said, hey, dude, it's Sunday. I think I might have said, it's not Lent. Yeah. And he got so mad. He became like a Pharisee and ripped his cloak and was like, what do you mean it's not Lent?
Whoa. More like Moses, I became like Moses, who represents the law.
So it's true. Sunday is still Lent.
It's a Lenten season.
However, it's still Sunday. So you're still celebrating. The obligation
of fasting has been lifted.
So you're still celebrating the resurrection. It's Sunday.
Because you're celebrating. I wasn't mad about him having cookies. I was saying, hey, let's get the language correct. It's still Lent, right? Because the Mass that we celebrated it said in the missal.
It is. It's
first Sunday of Lent.
I know, but it's Sunday. It's the day of resurrection.
And we don't say the Gloria. We don't say the A words.
So I personally don't believe in keeping the Lenten fast during Sunday. Some people do.
No. Again,
But it's Sunday. I think when the bridegroom is with you, you do not fast.
Again, I'm not saying... We're not arguing about the fasting. You don't have to fast on Sundays. Yes, it's a solemnity. But I'm just saying, to say Sunday is not Lent I
agree, and maybe it was in my language. I understand that Sunday is Lent, but it's the it's still Sunday. It's still the resurrection. Agree. It's still you don't fast on the day of the resurrection.
I'm not saying you need to fast. I'm just saying don't say it's not Lent.
So this week is the second Sunday of Lent, and we have the reading of the Transfiguration. I'll read it, and Father Jay will reflect on it. Jesus took Peter, John, and James and went up the mountain to pray. While he was praying, his face changed in appearance, and his clothing became dazzling white. And behold, 2 men were conversing with him, Moses and Elijah, who appeared in glory and spoke of his exodus that he was going to accomplish in Jerusalem. Peter and his companions had been overcome by sleep, but becoming fully awake, they saw his glory and the 2 men standing with him. As they were about to part from him, Peter said to Jesus, "Master, it is good that we are here. Let us make 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." But he did not know what he was saying. While he was still speaking, a cloud came and cast a shadow over them, and they became frightened when they entered the cloud. Then from the cloud came a voice that said, "This is my chosen son. Listen to him." After the voice had spoken, Jesus was found alone. They fell silent and did not at that time tell anyone what they had seen.
I think this is one of the turning points in the gospel, in all 3 synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. This particular passage follows right after the declaration of Peter of who Jesus Christ is. He says, "You are the Son of God, you're Christ, you're the Anointed One, the Son of God." And Jesus changes Simon's name into Peter. "You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church." And immediately what happens afterwards, when our Lord establishes his kind of new church, the foundation of the new church, is that he, for the first time in all of the Gospels, he predicts his passion. He makes his passion prediction, which is that he's going to be handed over to the Pharisees and the scribes and the priests, and he's going to be crucified, and he's going to die, and he will be resurrected on the 3rd day. And from that moment on, he's aiming to Jerusalem. He's going to Jerusalem, and all of the gospel is now heading towards that Passover, final Passover, and into Jerusalem. And right after that happens, this is Transfiguration is being shown, and it's a kind of a strange thing, or why does our Lord reveal his glorified self to Peter, James, and John? And I think it's precisely to show who is going to be crucified, who is going to be the one dying and saving, and to kind of give them a little assurance in the sense that even after the death, right, because they've already seen the glorified the Lord, that they can hope in the prediction that he really said, to really believe in the prediction that he really said, that after death he's gonna rise up on the 3rd day. Because this is like a very foreign idea. What do you mean by rising up from the dead? We as a Catholic have the sense of the resurrection very clearly because we learned it, but for Peter, James, and John, and all the apostles, that was a very foreign idea. And I think it's a very beautiful thing. And I think, like, what does this mean for us? I think it's that we often see the cross, we often see these Lenten days as something that we need to bear. Like I can't wait for the 40 days to be over so I can go back to the way that I was before. But it's, again, we see the glorified Jesus, and he already kind of shows a glimpse of what the future is going to be like. And so we are joyful. We kind of run towards our cross. We embrace our cross. And we can really, with heart that is peaceful, with a grateful heart, we can really enter into this season, not as a burden, but like an adventure and something to look forward to, that our Lord is and calling us to deeper and deeper relationship, so he can give us more and more of whatever he wants us to give. And now it becomes like an exciting journey, right? How far can I dig for the Lord to give me more, so I can find more treasure, that the Lord can give me more treasure. And I think it's that, like, Lent is not supposed to be a depressing season. It's a season of love, season of joy, season of gratitude. And so our Lord shows, hey, right, I'm God. So rejoice in me, listen to me. And I think that is the reflection. And
sir,
this is a dog.